How do you awaken when it just doesn't feel very good? That's the question that I'm going to touch on today in this week's video. Hi, my name is Nancy Rebecca with Intuitive Mind, and I'm a full-time psychic, but I'm also a nurse, and I've also been on my own spiritual awakening journey for 25 years now. So I know that there are many, many bumps in the roads. And wow, these past, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 years, the pressure has been relentless as we've been kind of going through these spiritual growing pains. We've seen a lot of the world turned upside down. So let's just kind of jump into it and let's have a conversation. I don't know that at the end of this video, anybody's going to feel any better, but we most certainly can kind of flesh some things out and hopefully get it to make a little bit more sense. So to start with, when I had my full psychic awakening after attempting to meditate for the first time, I had a spontaneous out-of-body experience and I suddenly became sighted. I mean, it's pretty dramatic if you think about it, that I didn't even know I was a spirit. I most certainly didn't know anything about chakras or auras, didn't know much about the spirit world. Just talked about things that went bump in the night, went to scary movies like anybody else, had never gone to a psychic, had never played with a Ouija board. I mean, I was very, very kind of naive to this world. So imagine, I want all of you to imagine what it was like kind of in the early 90s at that time. Did you even think about meditation? Did you even know anybody that meditated? Did you go to see psychics? Did you go to see tarot card readers? Were you even born at that time? So, I mean, this is the reality in 25 short years that has dramatically changed. I remember when I began to first teach classes about intuitive development, I remember maybe in a class of 25 students, I would say, how many of you have believe in past lives? And maybe one would just kind of shyly, not even all the way up, but shyly raise their hand halfway, and everybody else would sit there quiet with their hands in their laps. Now, when I ask here in the year 2021, how many of you believe in past lives? And everybody's hand goes up. So again, that's a dramatic change that we've witnessed just in these 25 years. So if anybody tries to deny that something is happening spiritually, it's just not possible, because we all can kind of think about where we were then, where we were even 10 years ago, and where our consciousness is now. Something's going on in the world. So I remember 25 years ago when I first had my awakening, and remember the book, The Celestine Prophecy? Wow, that was a mind-blowing book back then. I know some of you listening to this video probably haven't even heard it, but it was a big deal. Like, it felt like we were on the cutting edge of something when we read that book. And remember, they talked about the ancient spiritual kingdom of Shambhala, which the Tibetans had written about as being this very highly evolved spiritual place. And we all imagined where it might be in the world. You know, is it somewhere in the Middle East? Is it somewhere in Tibet or India or Nepal? It was quite exciting to think about those things at that time. And when I thought and read books about this awakening time that was going to be coming to us, which we're right in the middle of right now, I don't know what you imagined, but I imagined a beautiful place where everybody got along, was kindness and there was goodness, and we were all happy and we considered each other brothers and sisters. And I don't think I thought about doing yoga at the time, because I don't even think I knew anybody that did yoga, but it was just this kind of utopia, bliss of joy-filled happiness. That's what I imagined. So, but that's not what we're getting, is it? We're not getting any of that. Like, it takes a lot of work to keep that smile on my face some days. It keeps a lot of work to stay positive and optimistic when the news every day just seems to get worse and worse, and the atrocities to humanity. Don't even get me started on that. I didn't even think that it was possible to even witness in my life here in the United States things that were happening to other humans. So, and things that have been happening to other humans for hundreds of years that I was totally oblivious to. And so it's like, yeah, I'm waking up. I'm waking up spiritually, but I'm waking up more at a human level. And I think that's what's happening to each and every one of us. At that human level, our humanness is being spiritualized. Every cell of our body is starting to illuminate with light. Our bones are starting to illuminate with light. As we are bringing the light in, which is enlightenment, we're bringing the light in. It's starting to light up those really kind of stubborn, hard to reach, dark places that we hold inside of us that we were kind of oblivious to, maybe like the ostrich whose head was buried in the sand. And so, nope, it doesn't feel very good waking up when those lights get shined on some of the darkness that we hold inside and some of the darkness that's in humanity. I remember the first time, goodness, I think it was about 15 years ago, when the book came out, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. If you haven't heard of that book, I highly recommend it. It was written by Debbie Ford. She has since passed, but at the time that she wrote the book, she was the first person, again, it was kind of edgy, to say, what do you mean light workers have a dark side? And it was like the light workers really want to focus on the light and the happiness and the joy, but underneath they might be kind of crabby or mean or nasty. I mean, we hear, watch these videos, hear these stories about, the Karens in the world where, by day they may be very, very nice people, and then suddenly they have these meltdowns and they can be quite vicious. And I think that's what she was trying to say, that we have to look at all sides of ourselves. So again, how do we awaken during this time when it just doesn't feel very good? It's the not feeling very good places that are being illuminated right now, and we need to have them illuminated so that we can see that in ourselves, not just in other people, that we see it in ourselves so that we can begin to transform it into a functioning, harmonious, peace-filled part of ourselves to move forward in the future. I have taught all over the world, and I lived out of a suitcase for about 5 years, and I went where Spirit guided me, where the God of my heart guided me to go, and to be able to share the meditation techniques that I teach, that I was taught to teach. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, to go to India or go to Nepal, where those are the ancient cities, the foundation of Buddhism. I mean, Buddha was born in Nepal to go and teach these techniques, but they're simple, they're conscious, anybody can do them, and you can use visualization and play around with them. So they were actually quite popular amongst all the places that I traveled in. But I had an opportunity to meet some very ascended teachers, very high level teachers. And I found myself comparing myself to them. It's like, wow, they've been meditating much longer than I have. They can manage to kind of be above it all. But as I got to know them, and as they got to know me, and we shared in relationship, just like I share in relationship with you and you with me, we found out we're all human. Even they are human. I remember when I found out that high level Tibetan Buddhists sometimes have to eat meat. I thought they were strictly vegetarians or vegans. And it's like, nope, once in a while when they're guided, they will eat a little bit of meat. So it's like they are human. In their humanness, they do not have that potential to fully be completely enlightened beings, because We are in a human body, and in our human body, what you and I are learning to do right now is we're learning to manage this kind of wild stallion of our body. We're trying to manage the physical aches and pains, the soreness, the frustration, any kind of illness, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental illness. We're trying to manage our emotions that have that hair trigger response of reactiveness, and our mind, that amazing, incredible, genius, brilliant mind of ours that most times just won't shut up. And so it doesn't matter how long those people that I've met that have been spiritually developing themselves for a long time, everyone has struggles and everyone suffers. The difference is that they've learned how to turn it around quicker than the average person like myself and like you. And I did think about Buddha and Jesus or the Dalai Lama, who happens to still be living, and I was just like, how did they do it? But then as I learned more over these past 25 years, they didn't do it. I mean, they were amazing, but when you read about the stories of Jesus, I mean, he could get so frustrated at what was happening in the world. He could get angry. He could pick up the table of the money changers and throw it across the street and just be enraged. And then what would he do? He'd go off, he'd spend time by himself, he'd get quiet again, he would probably meditate and pray and come back to that still point. And I think that's the point of this whole video, is how do we awaken when it doesn't feel very good? We just do the best we can do. You do the best you can do. And when you're having those really hard days, you regroup, you reset, you go off, you get quiet, you come back to that state of love again when you can. And that's how you measure it. It's like, okay, I turned it around a little faster this time. All right, the last time when I was enraged, it took me 12 hours before I could calm down. And this time it only took me 9 hours. That's how you manage these times of awakening when you don't feel very good, rather than beating yourself up and saying, oh, I got enraged over something little, like a piece of gum stuck to the underside of the table. It's like, so that's what we do. We're human. We react. So what can we learn from being human on the earth? Well, Spirit is always reminding me, excuse me, that we are already enlightened beings. We already, at the spiritual level, we remember that we are one. We remember that we are of the unity consciousness. We do have access in the spiritual realm to all the answers in the universe. In our human body, though, we function under what's called a duality. And the duality is that everything is in a category of good and bad, love and hate, hot and cold, smart or dumb. All those are dualities that we're living in. And even that's changing right now. Right now, we're in the middle of the dualities are beginning to merge. So inside of you, you might start feeling insecure and confident at the same time, loving and hateful at the same time, cool and not so cool at the same time, energized and adventurous and reserved and wallflower at the same time. Now, if that's not crazy making, I don't know what is, but that's what started happening here in this kind of month of October and November, is that as we're shifting from the 3D realm to the 5D realm, those duality places are starting to merge. But we were already ascended souls, and we made the choice, or it was suggested by our guides and angels, that we might want to try to come to earth to try to manage a human body. Spirit's always showing me our human body is like that beautiful black stallion that just wants to run down through the canyon and race with the wind. and you are riding on its back. You're trying to hang on bareback for dear life to see if you can hang on without falling off. And then what happens? You fall off. You're not a very experienced rider in the beginning when your spirit's trying to ride your body. You're not very experienced in the beginning. You fall off and then you get back up on the horse. And that's what's happening right now. But the more you fall, the more you get back up, the more resilience, the more strength, the longer you're able to stay in this awakening ride of the ages. So as the frequency of the earth is ascending, why does it feel like we're descending? Well, because those places that we could kind of ride above or ignore, or as a psychic and a clairvoyant, I can tell you, most people live life out of their body. They're floating above their body. Some people, believe it or not, I can look at them, and I know that you can look at them too, and it's like, oh, nobody's home there behind those eyes. And if you just kind of tune in, their spirit might be 100 to 200 feet above their body, kind of floating up there. And you think, how is that possible? Well, your physical body does have rudimentary ability to function. Yeah, it can still cook and clean the house. It can still go to work. It can still drive a car. But to have that higher level of kind of joy-filled spiritual expression through your emotions, to be able to dance and to sing and come alive and be playful and do cartwheels and tumble across the grass, that's where your spirit comes more into your body. That's where you feel alive and you express alive. But mastering your ability to come down into your body more means that that old energy that's been stored in your body or has been absent to you, or you've been blind to it, it gets illuminated and it's like, oh, yuck, I need to clear that out. And one of the little secrets I can teach you is having judgment and criticism about it isn't helpful. It just makes it not feel very good that much more if you judge it and you criticize it. So it's like being in gratitude is really helpful. So choosing to tap in rather than tap out is the name of the game. Every moment choosing to tap into your life rather than tap out of your life is where you want to be going. Making that choice to just do a little better every single day. Making that choice to go just a little bit higher in your consciousness. Making a choice to show up for yourself and show up for others in just a little bit more positive way. Now, for me with technology, I've given myself permission to learn a little bit about technology, 1% every day. I tell myself, okay, you're not perfect at making these YouTube videos, Nancy, but just try to get 1% better every day. It's the same in this awakening process. We want to just do a little bit at a time. Feed your faith and your fears will dissolve. We need a hell of a lot of faith right now. A hell of a lot of faith. That, is this all bullshit? Is this awakening process just a bill of goods that somebody told us? You know, am I believing what spiritual teachers are saying because I need something to believe in right now? Sorry, I've got my dog. She's doing circles, and I don't know if you remember the last video, she knocked the tripod, so I keep reaching trying to hold the tripod. Go ahead, lay down, honey. So anyway, feed your faith and your fears will starve to death. That is the ultimate goal here. You may not feel very pretty or very handsome today, but on the other side of the coin, there is a glowing radiance just waiting to burst forth. You might not feel very strong, but on the other side of your coin, there's an enormous strength that's just available to come to the surface. but we still might have a few more months or a few more years before we get there. And so being in the company of each other is really going to help us. So let me just talk about what we can do. I have little 8 tips here before we finish up. What can we do? And I just want to read a quote from Joseph Campbell. The dark night of the soul comes just before the revelation, when everything is lost and all seems dark. Then comes the new life and all that is needed. I really, really, really love that. So what can you do to make it better? First, I want you to know that you've done nothing wrong. So number 1, you've done nothing wrong. Excuse me, let me just adjust here. Okay, you've done nothing wrong. It's not like someone else has it all figured out. Okay, it's not like somebody else has it all figured out. And you don't have it figured out. So give yourself permission to not have it figured out. Some people are just better at making their pain not look so painful. They might make their pain look prettier on the outside. But I promise you, I've been doing full-time psychic readings for 25 years, and I've done readings on a wide range of people. And what I can tell you is that we all have pain and we can all suffer. And that's an important thing to remember when you're trying to compare yourself to how you're doing versus how somebody else is doing. Okay, number 2, learning to get back up after hard-hitting life events. It takes practice. You have to practice at getting up during those hard-hitting events. But it's important to lay on the ground and kick your feet and cry and have a tantrum for a while. Your body needs to have that time to be very upset about what's happened to you. Sometimes with those abuses, some really horrible things have happened to some people. You just don't get up and say, well, I'm a spiritual light who's having a hard lesson right now. That is so invalidating to your body. Your body's like, what the heck? Don't just invalidate me like that. I need to have a good cry. So that's tip number 2, is learn to get up after hard-hitting lessons, but let yourself have a good fit. And that's tip number 3. Let your body have a hellacious fit sometimes. Your body's taking enormous hits in the world right now through abuse, pain, neglect, stress, anxiety, and depression. Ask your body, all right, honey, how long do you need to throw this fit? How long do you need to feel depressed? How long do you need to feel anxious? Just yesterday, I was feeling this anxiety in my heart. And I've never felt anxiety in my life, but after I went through my cancer diagnosis and the chemotherapy, I sometimes have these little anxiety panic attacks, and they're quite small. So when I think about people who have the big ones, it's like, wow, my heart really goes out to you. And you don't feel like doing anything to make it better. It doesn't feel good, and it most certainly doesn't feel like I want to sit down and meditate. So I get it. But I just asked my heart, it's like, what's going on inside? And I was able to kind of talk to my heart, talk to my body, have a little bit of a conversation. And whatever that dialogue was that happened, something shifted and the anxiety released. So talking to your body, I think that's probably one of the big things I want to share here. It's going to be really important for you when it doesn't feel very good. What did I say? The more you try to deny your body's need to have a meltdown, the longer that need to have a meltdown is going to last. And whether it's anxiety or depression, it can last days, weeks, months, years. I remember once having a really good friend who, oh my goodness, going through therapy, all kinds of medications, talking. she was doing so incredibly awesome. And there was a part of me that always just felt like she needed to go sleep in the forest and howl at the moon and just have a good scream and a good cry amongst the trees. And I really felt like that would have made her better. And eventually that's kind of what she did. I mean, it still took a couple more years, but sometimes we take, and I'm not discounting pills. I'm a nurse. I know people have a real serious need for support through medicine, but sometimes we do forget just how healing nature can be. So ask your body, how long does it need to feel that way? How long does it need for it to let it feel that way? Okay. Ask your body what it needs to feel supported by you. It's a hard time right now. What does it need to feel supported? I remember when my body said, I need you to eat regular meals, because I would get so busy. This was 30 years ago and my youngness, and I'd forget to eat and then might not eat till 9 o'clock at night and then eat junk food. My body was like, I need you to eat regularly throughout the day so I feel supported by you. And I was like, oh. And my body said, and I need you to not be making friends and being in relationships with people who aren't very nice, because I always feel threatened and on the defense. And so I need you to surround yourself by some really healthy relationships. So that's kind of how your body talks to you. So talk to your body more. But don't be surprised when it just said, can you drink more water? Can you eat? I'd love it if you'd get 8 hours of sleep. I mean, those are the kinds of things bodies say. Number 5, when your body feels held, loved, safe, protected, and cared for by you, it will naturally begin to relax in a trusting state and have great faith in your ability to know you've got your body's back, that you're going to take care of your body. If you're at a party and your body's giving those signals it needs to go home now, don't push through it. Like, listen to your body, say, hey, my body's telling me I gotta go home now and get my pajamas on. You do that more, your body's going to trust you more, and then it's going to feel better during these awakening times. Number 6, when your body can trust you, you begin to trust the divine. Isn't that funny how that works? When your body can trust you, you start to trust the divine. Because how often do we not trust the spirit world? A, we don't believe the spirit world is real. B, we don't believe that God is there for us. Right now, I'm working with a group of youth who are experiencing homelessness, and they don't believe that there is a God that would allow them to be homeless. So it's like, yeah, we don't have a lot of trust and faith in the spiritual world, but where we are going in the awakening process, we have to. That's the only way we're going to get to the next level, is by allowing the spirit of our own soul to support us and allow our spirit guides and spirit loved ones on the other side to support us. So the more you can expand in the process with your body, the more the higher wisdom and knowledge can come in. It's a win-win for your body and your spirit. All right, I know you guys are waiting for this one. Meditate, meditate, meditate. That's the one. I wanted to put that at the top of the list, but this is more about when you don't feel good, how do you talk to your body? So you want to meditate. And yeah, I teach meditation and I teach how to run energy through the body, but there's a really great smartphone app. It's called the Insight Timer. It is excellent. It has thousands and thousands of meditations. I promise you, you will find a type of meditation on there that you will love. So don't give up until you can find one that works for you. Number 8, exercise your body. Just like that stallion that needs to have a good run through the valley, your body needs to have a good run to get energy out. Your body needs that exercise to blow off that frustration, that anxiety, that rage, that anger, the frustration, the depression. Do not cut corners on this. Just do it, even if it's just a mile a day. And if you've got a fiery personality, You astrologically are a fire sign. Wow, you really need to use exercise to help you get that fieriness more stabilized so you feel better in your body. Oh, and I said 8 tips, but I've got one more before we finish up here. Surrender, surrender, give it up, let go. These times on our earth right now, we are so rapidly changing. You have to be able to get better at letting things go. Let it be okay to not understand what's happening. It is not possible to understand spiritual concepts with your limited human mind. It's not possible. We're getting there as the vibration and the frequency of the earth goes up, as our 3D body is starting to get spiritualized more by the 5th dimensional realm. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. So in the meantime, let go and surrender, trust, and have faith. All right, everyone. I've got my dogs kind of circling in the background again, so I think it's time for me to finish up. But the name of this talk, it's hard to awaken when it doesn't feel very good. I don't know that it's going to give you any comfort, but it doesn't feel very good for most of us. But we have just gotten pretty good. I've gotten pretty good at learning the tricks of the trade about how to turn things around. And I will tell you, the first thing I do every day is I meditate, and the first thing every day I do is I walk, and then I make sure I get my healthy meals in. And then if I start to not feel good, I stop no matter what kind of deadlines I have, and I meditate a little bit more. So you'll find your way. But remember, we are stronger together than we are apart. So keep reaching out. I'd love if you click the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, click the little bell so you get notification. And I do read all of your comments, even if I don't always have time to answer them. So take care, everyone, and I will see you again next week.